Like a great pilot episode that makes you want to watch an entire season, there are a couple phrases that can hook a woman. These phrases directly communicate with her inner being and instantly get her obsessed with you. In fact, even married women struggle to resist this kind of communication. Today, we reveal 9 of these phrases, all rooted in persuasive techniques that use basic neuroscience as their basis. But first, we need to have a closer look at what you're probably doing wrong. Why men can't communicate with women. A growing trend is happening in the Western world, where men and women don't find any common ground for communication. In fact, more and more men have to rely on the internet, instant messaging, and dating apps to start a conversation. While this works occasionally, it's almost always impossible to get a woman hooked on the internet. The reason for this is purely stimulation. You see, things like Instagram and TikTok have given women access to hundreds of men. These men slide into their DMs and try to pick them up, which naturally leads to overstimulation. The second mistake many men make is they simply don't have the confidence to talk to a woman. So when they approach someone in public, the conversation feels forced and they don't know how to get it going and have a smooth conversation. The great thing about a solid pickup line or phrase that creates instant attraction is the way it immediately soothes the conversation. In layman's terms, using a good phrase will immediately force her into dropping her guard, and you'll stand out as the guy she feels very comfortable around. But why shouldn't you use pickup lines on dating apps? Well, the odds of one sticking are very slim. Since you meet a woman online, you know nothing about her and you only have a basic description and some photos to go off. Since stale and overused pickup lines won't work, men find it hard to craft something unique when they don't have any real information to go off. For years, this trend has become the most accepted method of dating someone, and now it's time to move on. Revert to how things used to be, and to communicate with women when you see them physically. If you feel hopeless at this moment, you need not worry. You see, the human mind is quite creative when forced into doing tough things. You'll learn as you grow. Yes, this means that you'll be rejected quite frequently at first, but as your confidence grows, you become somewhat immune to this kind of rejection. Finally, when you understand some of these phrases and learn how to make them your own, women will see you as being unique and creative. Despite what everyone's telling you, a man with a smart mouth and a little bit of charm to put on top of it will naturally be more attractive as well. So, without further ado, here are 9 of the most powerful phrases any man can use to make a woman obsessed with him. Bear in mind that your wording might be slightly different depending on age, but the overall gist will remain the same and you should see measurable success. Number 1, creating curiosity. One of the most important phrases you can use to pique a woman's interest is something that sparks a little bit of curiosity. One thing the science community has proven conclusively is how humans are drawn to things they're curious about. In fact, it's often what makes us explore new hobbies and go on new adventures. I noticed something interesting you said. This phrase is one of the most powerful to strike up a conversation with a woman. You see, she immediately wonders what it could have been that you found interesting, and this gives you another opportunity to drive the conversation home. Not only does it allow the conversation to continue, but you're now talking about some kind of topic that she's truly interested in. Women love talking about things they personally like, and this will play on this desire. Once you've made this statement, she'll likely continue talking about it, possibly trying to explain what she meant. The same is true when you spark curiosity by telling a woman you noticed something interesting about her. Now, this can work when you're dating online, but it's not as impactful as it would be when you're talking in person. It's almost imperative that you focus on creating curiosity if you want to hold her attention immediately. Number 2, the out-of-nowhere compliment. When things feel forced during an encounter, it can often be detrimental to the conversation. It's often one of the reasons for confidence being such an important part of your approach. However, using a compliment that feels like it's out of the blue and doesn't carry any direct context will once again trigger the part of her brain responsible for curiosity. She'll wonder what it is you mean and why you would compliment her on something like that. You look like a spitting image of insert celebrity. This is one form of this compliment, which directly affects her, and she'll start figuring out what you mean when you're comparing her to some kind of celebrity who she knows other men find attractive. This is once a two-pronged compliment. You see, not only are you telling her she's attractive and beautiful, but you're also telling her that you view her in the same light as whichever celebrity you're referring to. But it doesn't always have to be celebrities. If you notice something very unique about a woman, it should work very similarly. Once you master this, you'll have a solid foot in the conversation, and here you can simply continue talking about everyday things, but occasionally use some humor to refer to the statement you made to pique her interest. Number 3, creating a little tension. Tension is the essence of attraction. You see, everyone wants to have that feeling of love-hate, to put it simply, and this often leads to higher and deeper levels of attraction. But creating tension takes some special wording of your phrases to ensure that you don't turn her off. I see you're a Patriots fan. We beat them last weekend. Sports teams are often the easiest and least offensive way of creating a little bit of tension. Since everyone's really behind their teams and they generally have a long history with plenty of reasons for supporting who they do, this is insulting but doesn't directly attack the other person. By creating tension, you spark a little competition in her mind. She begins to feel like you two are competing for something at a subconscious level. And when there's even the slightest inclination of attraction, she'll most likely want to prove you wrong. This is exactly what you're looking for. Now, there's no need to throw her with the facts and actually prove that whatever it is you choose is better than hers. The fun here is having her justify the reasons for her choice to be the superior. It not only drives the conversation forward, but activates emotion within her heart. The moment you can bring out some form of emotion from a woman, you've already conquered half the task, and she'll be more likely to engage in further conversations. The reason you should not squash her opinion to reinforce yours is that no one likes losing, especially women. To keep the conversation going and latch onto various topics, she needs to feel like she has an opportunity to win the argument. In fact, many women are smart and they'll often destroy your argument. But since you don't sweat the minor stuff, you can use this to continue talking to her, and it will naturally help to create even more attraction. Yes, the more you talk to a woman, the more the chances of attraction taking over becomes a reality. So, challenge a woman with something lighthearted, and the little bit of tension you create might just be enough of a spark to ignite the flame. Number 4, the imagination trigger. Let's face it, a woman's imagination is far more evolved than a man's. Not only do women envision the future, but they're capable of living in a dream world, often bordering on delusion. You would look great in a black dress with heels. Using a phrase like this gets her imagination flowing, and she'll likely envision what you just said. What often follows is the question of why. But this is a good thing, and it offers you the opportunity to explain your statement. Now, you don't want to dive too deep into the explanation, as it can get boring real quick. But saying something along the lines of, I saw the perfect dress on TV, this will automatically lead a woman to being more inquisitive. Not only will she want to talk about the dress and ask more questions about it, but it also gives you more avenues of conversation. Your statement will likely linger in her mind. And should you make a decent first impression, you can be sure that she'll be interested. Ideally, you want to carry on the conversation and move to a more intimate topic. But this should be a great way to simply break the ice. Number 5, the classy pickup line. Pickup lines come in different forms and shapes. Some antagonize a woman, whereas others almost gaslight them. What you're looking for is the classy pickup line, which immediately makes her enter a natural feminine state. You'd make an excellent mother. The great thing about such a pickup line is that it will immediately trigger her feminine side, but it's also age dependent. Of course, you don't want to use it with an elderly woman who might already have enough kids of her own. But this is another one of those pickup lines that open the door for further conversation. You see, many of these phrases are often met with a response of why. The reason why is a great thing is because it offers you the opportunity to explain, and with some basic conversational skills, you can direct the conversation to a different topic. Keep in mind that you're looking for a classy yet sophisticated pickup line that makes a woman think. Number 6, the ego boost statement. Who doesn't love it when people appeal to their egos and make them feel like $1 million? In fact, it's one of the easiest ways to ensure someone shows you a little bit of interest. But when it comes to women, appealing to their egos could be one of the best things you'll ever do. You look too beautiful for this place. A statement like this might seem a little disingenuous at first, but once again, it'll be followed by why, which naturally gives you more time to explain. You see, women often follow their friends, and despite a woman being too classy for some establishment, she'll still want to go because of her friends. But when you make a statement like this, she's caught off guard and she gets to thinking. Additionally, it opens the door for a conversation, which enables you to set up avenues and change the topic. But because you're the only man to say this, she will have a lasting memory and even want to continue the conversation with you. Number 7, have you ever been to... If you're someone who's experienced the world and you have a few great tales to tell, it's very important that you find a way to communicate this to a woman. You see, everyone wants to see the world and experience new things, but this one is a little more advanced. Unfortunately, you'll need to have a good line to strike up the conversation. But when the conversation permits you, you should ask her if she's been to any good place you have visited. If she says no, she'll likely ask you why you would say this. This, again, gives you the opportunity to explain, and if you have a solid reason for why you believe she'll like this place, you can pique her curiosity once again. In fact, this method not only focuses on curiosity, but also leads to excitement. You'll immediately appear in a much better light, and you could tickle her imagination when talking about this specific destination. Number 8, genuine compliments. This one might break away from neuroscience and psychology for a bit, but giving out genuine compliments is one of the best ways to gain a woman's favor. Most men drop bombshell compliments, which often focus on a woman's physical looks, but once again, she's overstimulated in this area. Genuine compliments, which target something else, like perhaps how intelligent she is or her personal style, is something women rarely hear nowadays. Perhaps it's because men are not as smart anymore, but most guys will solely focus on the obvious. One of the most important things you can do is to compliment a woman on something unique, but it should be genuine. I think those shoes make you look beautiful. What this shows is that you took a little bit of time to find something unique and think it through at the same time. Women really appreciate this level of attention to detail, and they'll likely remember this kind of compliment for many days to come. If you happen to get her number, the iron will be hot for the first few days. In fact, she'll likely be thinking of you more frequently. Number 9, mystery is attractive. The next one is not as much a pickup line, but rather a response to a question she might ask you. It'll usually be one of the last things you do to help create attraction between yourself and a woman. But when done correctly, she will be obsessed with you and be the one to reach out first. Wouldn't you like to know? Now, as rash as this might sound, and for some of it might even be a little antagonistic, but when you change your tone of voice to be more happy and say it with a smile, it creates an empty void of questions for a woman. Wouldn't you like to know? We all know that a woman can be better than the FBI, and it's often these kinds of mysteries that get her hooked in the first place. By making yourself seem a little more mysterious than you naturally are, when she has these kinds of questions about something and she likes you, you have an instant obsession. When you understand what a woman wants and how her mind operates, tailoring your natural approaches will be that much easier. In fact, modern men only think about themselves, and this leads to failure. But once you have a woman obsessed, you need to make the move. Be sure to check out this next video to find out what you can do.